just want to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. They don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
I don't know if you've had a chance to see a video that has been going viral over the past hour or so. We're still working to clear it and show it. In fact, the Hollywood celebrity who posted it has now deleted it, I think because probably she faced a lot of backlash for it, noting even the New York Times and Fox News polls show that a majority of American respondents are in favor of deportations of criminals and gang members. She posted a video sobbing. She was crying in it. She said, all my people are getting attacked, with the picture of a Mexican flag. Again, she has now taken that down. But what do you say to those who are out there saying that these are everyday people, these are families that are being attacked and dragged out of their homes? How do you respond to that?
I don't think we arrested any families. We've arrested public safety threats and national security threats, bottom line. And look, President Trump won the election on this one issue, securing our border and saving lives. What happened on our southern border last 4 years is the biggest national security threat this country's seen, at least in my lifetime, because we got over 2 million known gotaways. We got a 600% increase in sex trafficking. We got a record number of terrorists crossing the border on the terrorist watch list. We have 250,000 Americans die from fentanyl coming across the open border. We're going to do this job, and we're going to enforce the laws of this country. If they don't like it, then go to Congress and change the law. We're going to do this operational apology. We're going to make our community safer. We're going to save. Once we lock that border on continuous operation, you're going to see fentanyl deaths decrease, illegal alien crime decrease, sex trafficking decrease. It's just all for the good of this nation, and we're going to keep going. No apologies. We're moving forward.
Boy, I gotta tell you guys, the liberal tears are flowing. Here come the Hollyweird liberal tears, just as the mass deportations are getting ramped up. Okay, President Trump came out and said, we want 1,500 to 2,000 arrests and deportations per day. And we're now watching the new reality show, the most popular reality show on cable news, which is Tom Homan locking up illegal immigrants and deporting them. Okay. And yeah, I mean, to some people, like all of us who have common sense, who are worried about the safety of the American people, who put the American people first over illegal immigrants, particularly illegal immigrant criminals. Yeah, this is a welcome sight. In fact, it's even better than what I was voting for, because I was voting for the mass deportations, but I didn't know I was voting for a television show to be able to watch it, right? I didn't know we was getting all that. Whoever came up with this idea deserves a promotion, okay? Because it seems as if we have stolen a page out of the Democrats' playbook. You know how they put on the Hollywood production for the J6 committee, right? You know how they did that? Okay, they made a whole Hollywood production out of it. I think Trump and the Republicans said, you know what? We're going to do the same thing, but just with mass deportations. And unlike the January 6th select committee hearings, people are actually watching the mass deportations. Okay, nobody watched the January 6th stuff. So with that being said, speaking of Hollyweird, we have Selena Gomez, who humiliated herself on her social media by posting a video of her boohoo whining and crying over the ICE arrest. Okay, she was sobbing, liberal tears were flowing, and I'm just sitting here getting drunk. I'm drunk as a fish off of these liberal tears. I got to tell you, okay, can't lie to you. But I'm getting concerned because all these liberal tears and all these W's, I don't want it to get stale, right? I really don't. But it seems as if we're going to be getting this for the next 4 years straight. And one of the reasons why I don't drink rum is because I had a very, very, very bad experience in college with rum. And since then, I'm just like, nah, I can't drink rum, right? I don't want that to happen with liberal tears, okay? That's the only thing that I'm concerned about here. But I am going to enjoy the liberal tears, right? Because these tears got mocked.
I am just watching Selena Gomez cry for the illegal immigrants. You know, these celebrity hacks, they see things on TikTok or Instagram or social media, and they're so stupid and ill-informed that they sit there and cry because criminal aliens, rapists, and murderers are being deported back to their country of origin. You know, she's lucky that they don't get hung by their toenails. We're just sending them home, Selena. And the fact that you're defending rapists and murderers?
Okay, got mocked because most people who aren't thinking with their emotions understands that, hey, you know, the mass deportations, they got to happen. And here we have Hollywood Tears trying to play on our heartstrings, okay, to try to make us feel bad because, you know, ICE may go into a school, they may go into a church, right? And they want you to feel bad for the kids. What about the kids, the children? What's hilarious about this fake outrage from the liberal media is that these are the same people that when Obama was in office seemed to agree with the approach that Trump is taking today.
Flashback.
There you see President Obama in Denver this week. White House even has a hashtag for these outings. They call it the bear is loose. With the president taking some heat for shooting pool, but not going to the border to see that crisis firsthand.
We send children back to Mexico. We send children back all over the world.
But they're not in those situations.
Well, they are in those situations, and things in Central America have been tough for a long time. But the idea that you're going to let unaccompanied minors just come into the U.S. because of a loophole in the 2008 law that allows you to send the Mexican kid back and the Honduran kid gets to stay. And that's not sensible. And so that the Republicans are going to propose this week on the Hill amending the 2008 law to have even treatment for everyone. And the president does have to send a message, you can't come here. And why is this happening? David talks about this has been a problem for decades. Why are these kids suddenly flooding this place? Because the president amnestied all the kids who were already here in 2012, and people in Central America decided... So the Republicans... Can I just say one thing? He just finished sentence. He amnestied all the kids who are here, and every sensible person in Central America thought, hey, great, if I can get my kid into the U.S., there'll be an amnesty for him.
I think that's part of the problem for the president. If you go down to the border, part of his message has to be, you guys have got to go back home.
There is no such pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for these kids. So it is important for the president to clarify that the misrepresentation that's going on purpose by criminal forces in Central America is not so. That's why it would have been important for him to go to the border.
A few years later.
If you've got a kid in school, if you've got a U.S. citizen in school, let that school know. Give them a list of adults that can go pick up that kid if you are taken in. Have your documents ready. If you can consult with a lawyer, por el amor de Dios, háganlo. And all of those people crying right now and feeling bad by the way they voted, there's going to be another election in 2 years. And we're going to have to wait 2 years of pain. So if you want things to change, get yourselves registered, get yourself active. There's no reason why we should be playing, rolling over.
Yeah, so when you hear the boohoo, whining, crying, into tears, right? People pretend to be so upset by this. Just remember, these are the same people who were making excuses for Obama trying to send a message that, hey, there's no pie at the end of the rainbow for your kids, right? Even if you bring them here. So don't bring your children. Trying to discourage illegal immigrants from taking advantage of the system, right? Thinking that they can get in here with a loophole. Now, when Trump is essentially using that same message, he's sending that same message. Oh, now all of a sudden, oh, terrible, okay? Terrible. This is the worst thing ever. Tears everywhere. Anyways, let's react to the cackling hands on The View because, of course, you have the cackling hands like Sunny Holston, boohoo, whine, and crown racism over the mass deportations.
And criminals will no longer be able to hide in America's schools and churches to avoid arrest. What criminals are hiding in schools?
How many MS-13 members are the age of 14 to 17? Many of them.
So, is this the immigration system fix that people had in mind when they voted, do you think?
Well, it's hard to tell at this table because no one voted for him. But I think if you were, I don't know yet. It's kind of, it's disturbing what we're seeing, and the headlines and all the coverage would make you think that there's this massive deportation, but by numbers, contextually, President Obama still remains the deporter-in-chief. Even if Trump continues at this rate, he will not even hit what President Obama hit in 1 year with 400,000. But the point here is that it's meant to be a PR campaign. So it's meant to scare people. Mm-hmm. That's what they're doing right now. Mm-hmm. And when you look at these flights where they are deporting people back to their origin nation, we don't know who they are. And that's where I'd like to see more transparency. If indeed, right now, everyone on these flights is a violent criminal, I think we can all agree everyone thinks they should leave the country. We were saying that this morning. It's common sense. But what we're not getting is a breakdown of who these people are. On the first day of Trump's presidency, DHS, there was a press release, and they said that they had nabbed more than 300 illegal migrant criminals, including 1 attempted murder and 1 child molester. But what about the other 298? What was their crime? Because I think either you own the fact that these are all violent criminals and break down who these people are, what their crime was, and tell the American people, or tell us what they really are and let us have a healthy debate over the disagreement of how this is being carried out.
Because,
they're here illegally. When you say, tell me what their crime was, the crime is that they entered the country illegally. That's the crime. See, these simple-minded, one-dimensional thinking people on this show do not understand what's actually happening, right? Because they're either just oblivious, right? They're just stupid, or they just don't want to acknowledge that what Trump is doing is actually genius, right? I don't know which one it is. I tend to lean towards they're just lacking the critical thinking skills to look beneath the surface in regards to what's happening, because they keep talking about the amount of people that are being deported, right? And they're trying to take a shot at Trump by saying, well, this is not that many more people than who Joe Biden deported. Or, hey, he's deporting less people than Obama. Almost like a dare, right? It's almost like a, oh, I bet you can't deport more type thing. But what they're failing to account for is the fact that there are a lot of people who are going to self-deport, okay? And that is the whole purpose of the so-called PR campaign, okay? That's the whole purpose. The whole purpose is to show the world that this is what happens if you come to the United States, okay? That if you're living here illegally, it doesn't matter who you are under the threat of being deported, right? That is how it works. The reason why you do it this way, the reason why you don't just come out and say, oh, no, we're not going to raid a church, or we're not going to raid a school, or if you are this type of illegal immigrant, we're going to leave you alone, or that you're not going to be at risk. The reason why is because what you're doing is that you're letting the criminals know how to evade law enforcement. So you come out here and you say, oh, no, we're not going to raid churches and schools. What do you think that incentivizes criminals to hide in churches and schools? Because they're like, oh, no, ICE, they're not going to go there, right? The last thing you want is to incentivize criminals to be hanging around churches and schools, right? That's the last thing that you want. So when you say things like this, what happens is that it incentivizes the illegal immigrants who are here, who are not committing crimes, to distance themselves from criminals, right? And this is also why you don't promise there won't be any collateral damage when it comes to rounding up and deporting illegal immigrants who are hanging out with the criminals, okay? Because when ICE goes and raids a house, everybody in that house who's there illegally, they get deported. Doesn't matter if you're a criminal or not. If you're here illegally, you committed a crime and you got caught. So you go. The reason why you send that message is because that further discourages people from hanging out and associating themselves with violent criminals who are illegal immigrants, right? If you are a law-abiding illegal immigrant, you're going to essentially run away from any illegal immigrant that's committing a crime, because you know that, okay, well, if I'm around that person, it is a high chance I can get deported, right? Because that's who they're going after. But they're not going to make promises to not deport anybody else. No. If you get caught with them, with criminals, you're gone. Okay, you're gone. So that in and of itself creates a sense of fear. And people don't like living in fear. And you can call it cruelty. You can call it inhumane. You can say whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me. Your tears don't affect me. It is necessary and effective because it encourages people to leave. Okay. People are like, you know what? I'd rather leave and go somewhere else than to live in fear that ICE is going to show up at my door, kick my door in, round me and my child up and deport us to another country. So when you talk about the total amount of deportations, the accurate number is not how many people ICE arrests and deports. That's not the accurate number. The accurate number is how many people were deported physically and also that just left on their own. And there's a lot of people that are leaving on their own. And that number should be counted. Now, can we get an accurate number for how many people self-deport? I don't know. I don't know if it's something that we could actually measure. But regardless, don't listen to the mainstream liberal media when it comes to President Trump's deportation numbers versus President Obama's deportation numbers, right? Don't listen to that, okay? Because they're going to misrepresent it. Again, a lot of people are just straight up self-deporting. And the reason why is because it's being broadcast everywhere and everybody's saying what's happening. It's effective, okay? It is effective.
I think the answer to your question, Whoopi, is yes and no for the public. So 87% of Americans support deporting undocumented migrants who've committed crimes in this country. That's nearly a universal opinion that I think we stand by. 55% express some desire to see anyone who's here unlawfully leave. So that's a lot more split. What I'd say is this when we talk—
Yeah, but it's still an insane number, though. 55% are just like, you know what? It doesn't matter if you're here and you haven't committed a crime, you still got to go, right? If you're just here illegally, you got to go. Over half the country? Yeah, that's a lot. That is a whole lot, especially considering how Democrats, if they could have it their way, they would grant amnesty to all of those illegals. They just let them stay. So, I mean, at least 55% of American people are against that. And a vast majority of them are for mass deportations. So where does that leave the Democrat Party? Who's against the mass deportations and they're for amnesty? I mean, they're in direct opposition to the American people at this point on this issue. Like, this issue is not the polarizing issue that it used to be. I think Democrats are miscalculating in the sense that people have seen the tears. We've already seen the tears. We saw AOC boohoo whining and crying at the border under Trump's first administration, but she didn't do that during Biden's administration. She didn't do that. Well, why didn't she do that? It's because she don't really give a damn. She sees it as a political issue for her to virtue signal. She don't care about these illegals. So, you know, at the end of the day, Democrats have been exposed, and their continued opposition to what is something the American people voted for is only going to continue to tank their party. It's only going to continue to take that party.
Talk about this issue. Most nations on earth deal with the question of how to secure their border and how many migrants to take in. It's not uniquely American. It's not xenophobic to simply care about it. There's national security imperatives. There's economic imperatives. And what we're seeing now, what matters to me is how it's done, that it's done humanely and safely, and that we're prioritizing the people who shouldn't be here. So again, people who've committed offenses against people, but also I think that it's important that we contextualize it, because to Sarah's point, in Obama's first term, 3 million people were deported. That's much slower than what Trump's on pace to do right now. And I'd finally say that I think that America is supposed to be a shining city on a hill. I think that we're a place that welcomes migrants. We're stronger for it. But we should prioritize people like refugees. Right now, there's 1,600 Afghans who helped assist us in this war who are on pause under the Trump administration from coming in. Those are the people who need to come first, not economic migrants. We can't house everyone. We can't bring everyone here. But people who helped our country and are fleeing for their lives should always be able to have a place
be protected,
here.
yeah.
To answer your question, which is this the immigration fix that this country wanted? I think absolutely there are certain people that wanted to see this kind of pain and destruction for a certain group or type of immigrant. Because if you look at the numbers, yes, the number of immigrants that come from Mexico or of Mexican-born are the largest. But the next largest are Asians. 28% of them come. I don't think they walk across the southern border. I think they come by plane.
Wow.
The next largest are Europeans. I don't think they walk either. I'm just saying immigrants, right?
Oh, not undocumented, though.
A lot of them are undocumented, actually.
But that's not the stat for being
but a lot
of
them
come by
plane and then overstay their visas. They overstay their visas. They overstay their visas, so they're undocumented. The Europeans that come here that overstay their visas are undocumented, but they don't come across the southern border. So I think there's a very clear message as to what this president wants the look of a criminal migrant to look like, what an undocumented migrant. And I think that's racist.
It's the same thing over and over and over again, man. When you don't have a good argument, you just say, well, it's racist. Because first and foremost, she's ignorant. She claims that Asians aren't crossing the border. Guys, we've done the stories, and I don't even need to play the clip. I don't want to make the video too long. I don't need to play the clip. We've seen Asians lined up at the border, right? Literally from China. Lined up at the border from Southeast Asia, trying to get in through the southern border. This woman is ignorant. Like, she's ignorant. In fact, my first video today was an illegal immigrant, a violent illegal immigrant, that was from Asia that was arrested by Tom Holman and Dr. Phil. Dude is from Asia. So again, this idea that, they're just targeting the Latinos, the brown people, the black and browns. This is just lazy, low IQ, one-dimensional thinking. This is the type of conclusion that you come to when you are a person who doesn't want to do research, right? You don't want to do research. You don't want to critically think. So therefore you say, you know what? This is just racist, right? I don't have a good argument against the mass deportations, right? So I'm just going to say it's racist and that's it, right? That's the game here. That's the game. Because this is the easy thing to say. The hard thing would have been to actually look into what's happening, to watch the mass deportations, to understand that the criminals that are being arrested are violent criminals who have murdered people, who have raped children, who have committed heinous crimes against the American people. Those are the people that are being arrested, but these people don't care. They don't give a damn. They don't. They rather just let it happen because it doesn't affect them. Does it affect Sunny Holston when she's living in her mansion, right? I think 10 bedroom, 10 bath estate. Nah, it's not affecting her. She don't have to worry about it. She got 24/7 security probably. She doesn't have to deal with it. But the people who do have to deal with it are the so-called black and brown folks that are living in these neighborhoods. And then these people turn around and tell you that's who they're looking out for. They're not looking out for poor, working class, black and brown people. They're looking out for the bourgeoisie. They're looking out for the Democrat Party. That's what they're doing. So you just say, oh, well, it's just racist. It's always racism. That's what it is. But the main people who are in support of the mass deportations are the so-called black and brown people. So how does that work, right? It ain't just the white people. It's really the black and brown people.
Let me also say that, in my view, he has circumvented established law by weaponizing the U.S. military.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
Generally, before being deported, you have an asylum case pending in front of a court, and you must appear in front of that judge. Right now, there are 3 million asylum cases and 900 judges. That is why the bipartisan bill that was going to be passed addressed that particular issue. Instead of dealing with it legally in that way, and I'm not saying he's doing it illegally, what he did was declared a national emergency that qualifies as a foreign invasion. And on the U.S.-Mexico border, not any other border. And that cleared the way for the Department of Defense to deploy the military at a 60% increase. I just think that our military members, many of them did not join the military to do that job. And let me say just finally.
They didn't join the military to protect the country? Because I think that's actually the reason why they joined the military. I hope that's the reason why they joined the military. I know people join the military for, a lot of reasons, okay? But I'm hoping that protecting the country is one of their top 3 reasons, right? That you legitimately want to protect the country. I mean, I think that if the job of the military is to protect the country, then deploying the military to the southern border is the most legitimate use of the military that I've seen in a long, long, long time in this country, right? I think it's much more legitimate to use our military to secure our own border than to fight wars on behalf of other people, right? And their countries and their nations that don't like us. I think that is much more justified to use the military at the border than what we've been using the military for. That's what I love the most about this. I love the fact that Trump is like, yo, let's deploy the military to the border. It's common sense and it saves money. And it gives our military training, experience, right? I think it's amazing. I'm like, why weren't they doing this before? I feel like every other country secures their border with the military. I guarantee that's like a normal thing in almost every other country, that they secure their border with their military. What is at the border of North Korea and South Korea? The military, right? When you got, it's the military. So I'm trying to figure out, why is that such a a foreign concept in the United States of America. To me, it's just common sense. But, you know, these woke people, they lack common sense. So I understand why they feel like it's such a terrible idea, right? It's so crazy to do.
That they are also racially profiling in doing this. In Newark, New Jersey, a business venue on Thursday was raided, and among the citizens that they detained and questioned was a Puerto Rican man and a military vet. For the 50 million thousandth time, Puerto Ricans are Americans and disproportionately serve in the military. And so I say all of this to say that I am disappointed, disgusted, and saddened by what I'm seeing.
Can I make one point of clarity, though?
Wow. She about to boo-hoo on and cry. Again, notice how they keep using this story. It is like nothing happened to that dude. Nothing happened to him except, okay, he got detained for a few minutes. I mean, they acting like the dude got arrested and then deported, right? And they were on the way to deport. They jailed him. Like, nothing happened to him. Okay, he, you know, ICE had to talk to him, check his ID. I mean, come on, right? This is what they want to shed tears over? Really? This is crazy to me. I don't understand why these people don't understand that they look real crazy to the average person. The average person is looking at this like, yo, you're shedding tears over violent criminals being deported. That's where the Democrat Party is at this point. They're shedding tears over violent criminals being deported. But should anybody be surprised? They were shedding tears over criminals during the BLM riots. The most violent riots that we've ever seen in this country's history came because Democrats were shedding tears for criminals, okay? So again, we shouldn't be surprised by this. They love doing this. They love it. But it's just not going to work this time. I don't think the tears are going to work. I think this country has been through so much in the last 4 years that the American people, they're not falling for this trick anymore. They're not. They're not. And I think Trump's approval rate is going to continue to go up. It's only going to go up. Because he's doing exactly what American people want. And he's making it clear this is what we're doing. And the more these people cry about it, I think the more popular Trump is going to become, honestly. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.